So today I wanted to make a video about my surgery experience, my PAO surgery experience. So not to say that this is how everyone's experience was or will be, but it's my experience. So in April of this year, the 3rd of April, I had my operation, and the night before the op I took a sleeping tablet under the doctor's recommendations, just so that I was well rested and for the surgery and not so nervous, because when I'm nervous I don't sleep, I cannot sleep. So I took a tablet, and then in the morning we got up, we had to be there really early, and it's such a strange feeling, you know, when you hear about other people that have major operations. You kind of think that must be so difficult and scary and nerve-wracking and all of the above, and it's not. For me it wasn't. It was just very surreal. I was a bit nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't nervous for the operation, I wasn't nervous for pain. I can handle pain very well, but I was just nervous about, scared of the unknown, things I didn't know anyone who had the surgery before. I hadn't heard of the surgery before, so I had no idea what to expect. So that was the only thing that made me nervous, and it was all surreal. It feels like you're in a dream and it doesn't really hit you until you're in the theatre. So we got to the hospital and it was very early. I didn't wait very long actually, and then the nurses came in and they put this like sponge, this iodine solution on the area they're operating. I think it's for like bacteria or whatever, and then they asked me all the questions. Then they wheeled me off and I had a little tear or two watching my mom and stepmom being wheeled away from them, but then I got over myself. Yeah, and then they took me down to the pre-op area, and I was the only one there, and I was all by myself, like there were no nurses or anything, and I was lying there thinking, okay, this is happening now. I think that was the first time it hit me, like this is actually real, and this is not just a little deal, it's quite a big deal. And then the nurses were talking to me, just trying to keep me calm, and then the surgeons came in and the anaesthetists came in and they spoke to me and told me what they're going to do, and they chatted to each other about what they need to do, and then the surgeon had told me beforehand, but then he told me again that when I wake up, my leg will be in like this machine that like bends your leg for you. It's just, I think it's to stop blood clotting, but it moves it for you, so you don't have to do it, because those muscles kind of become a bit useless, and also you would probably hurt yourself or mess something up if you did it yourself. So that's the only thing I could think about was this machine. Is it going to hurt? Is it going to hurt? Is it like, oh, that was the only thing that scared me. And he said no, it shouldn't hurt at all. I was like, oh, thank goodness, I'm not scared for anything else now. So they took me in, and the theatre room is so cold. I didn't know it was that cold. I've had a small surgery before and I don't remember it being cold like that. So I think it's about 10 degrees Celsius, so it's quite cold, and when I'm nervous I get very cold anyway. So I was like shivering. So he gave me this, one of the surgeons had this like tube that was like blowing hot air out, so you have to like crouch forward like this when they put the epidural in. So he just put it by me so I could hold it to stay warm, which was nice, because when they put the epidural in you can't move, because I mean they could give you serious nerve damage if you move. So they numb your back, and the anaesthetist tried to put the epidural in for about 15 minutes. First I was sitting up and he was poking around, and then like my bum would flex, my back would flex, where he was touching the nerves, and then he put me on my side and tried to do it like that, and he just couldn't get it in. So that made me a little bit nervous, but also I didn't know, I've never had an epidural anyway, so I didn't know what that would feel like, so I didn't really know the difference between the two. And to be honest, not being able to feel anything from where they put it in down actually freaked me out a little bit, so they just gave me a lot of anesthetic instead, more than they would have. And then I woke up in the ICU 4 hours later. They told me it would be between 6 to 8 hours, but it was only 4 hours, so that was nice. And I lost not too much blood, I think 1.5 liters, something like that. But they transfuse your own blood, so they take what blood you lose and they filter it, and then they put it back in your body, which is nice. So it's your own blood, so it's kind of a quicker recovery time because it's your own blood. And then I don't remember the first day, the first 24 hours. I think because I had so much anesthetic because of not being able to have the epidural, I was a lot more out of it than other people. Other people have said that they weren't asleep for as long as I was. They were awake within the first few hours of coming out of it. So I was very sleepy, and I think also having a blood transfusion, it like takes all your energy out. So my parents came to see me, and the nurse was feeding me, and while she was feeding me, she'd give me a bite of food, and when she put it in my mouth and I'd like doze off with the food in my mouth, she's saying, "Come on, you need to eat," and I'm like, "I know, go back to sleep." And then the morphine made me quite nauseous, so I mean, I said to my mom, I feel nauseous, and then immediately, well, what to me felt like immediately, because I was so out of it, the nurse came in and put something in my drip, or in my hand, which immediately made me feel less nauseous. So if you feel sick, you know, just tell them, they can help you. And then obviously you have that morphine thing that you press if you're in pain, but I wasn't in pain, but they kept saying to me, "Press it, you can press it now, you can press it." Every time I like woke up, they told me to press it, so I did. And then what else? Oh, and they wash you, the nurses have to wash you, which I didn't think about when I was preparing for the surgery, and before it didn't even cross my mind. But I mean, you can't move, and you also have a catheter in, which I didn't even notice until like 2 days. And so they wash you, and I'm a very private person, like very private, but I just didn't care. Firstly, I was so out of it, but also I was just grateful that there were people there that were willing to do that. I mean, that's their job, but they're so nice about it, and they don't make you feel uncomfortable. I mean, it's not the most comfortable situation, but yeah. And so what I did was I took baby wipes with me, because I actually didn't think about that they would wash you. I thought I'd be able to shower, but luckily I had baby wipes with me, so even though they do come and like bathe you, I still had baby wipes with me just for in case. Then they took me to the ward, and I stayed there for 4 days. The second day after the surgery, you have to get out of bed as soon as possible for blood flow and everything, so you don't get clots, and also for bone to start growing. So I got out of bed, and I got to the end of my bed. And I almost fell over, almost passed out. I was so dizzy and felt so sick. So I got back in bed, and I was like not expecting that reaction. And then, was it the next day or the night? Sometime then I walked to like the door of the room, and back, and then I still felt very dizzy. And then by day 3 I was there for 5 days. By day 3 I walked to the corridor and back, and then the end of day 3 I could walk like half the corridor and back. On day 4 I could walk up the corridor and back, and then they took me to the stairwell where I walked up and down a flight of stairs. And day 5 they gave me exercises to do and walked up and down the stairs again. And yeah, I mean, it surprised me just how quickly recovery happens. I mean, the first 2-3 days you feel like, oh my word, this is going to be the hardest thing I've ever had to do, which I'm not going to lie, at times it is, but it happens so quickly, that like so rapidly, that it's like kind of hard to grasp how quickly you're recovering. And it shocked me. It was actually so nice. I mean, in the hospital I didn't have any pain, well, next to no pain, which was really nice. The only pain I did have, I mean, you're uncomfortable because you can't move your leg and you can't sit up more than 90 degrees, and even if you do sit up for the first 2 or 3 days, I felt very dizzy and a bit sick and uncomfortable. But I think on day 4, when I was sleeping, I woke up with this burning pain, like someone had a blowtorch under my heel of the operated leg on my right leg. And I was like freaking out, like, am I gonna lose my foot, like what's going on? And so I called the nurses, and she said, so having the compression socks on with your foot on the bed constantly, it's like having constant pressure. So it's kind of the same thing when someone gets bed sores, I think. It's just having that constant pressure, not being able to move it, like the blood flow and everything. So they just put a pillow under my foot, so my heel was kind of hanging off, but my leg was still straight because you're not supposed to bend it. So for about 3 weeks I still had that pain if my foot was on the bed for too long with the compression socks on. So I just put a pillow, or asked my mom to put a pillow on under my leg if it was burning. The other thing was that I think on the 4th day was the day I was allowed to shower. They took my catheter out on the 4th day, so that was nice. The catheter's the worst. Well, it's not the worst, it's actually the best, because the last thing you want to be worrying about is going to the toilet, and you don't have to think about it. It's just that you can see your wee lying next to you, but I mean, really, there's a lot of other things to be worrying about. So they took that out, and I was so scared it was going to hurt, and I didn't feel a thing, so that was nice. One thing to keep around with you is sanitary pads after you've had a catheter in. It's not the best situation to be in, having a numb area down there as well as having a catheter in. So accidents do happen, don't worry, you're not alone. Just carry provisions around with you just in case. And yeah, my mom showered me on the 4th day, which was just slightly, well, thinking about it now, was slightly embarrassing, but at the time it was just nice to be able to shower after 4 days, and also to have someone looking after you like that. It's just nice to have someone who loves you and cares about you. That's the one thing I would say is make sure you have before you have your surgery, is that you have someone around for at least 2, even 3 weeks. The 3rd week for me was, I could be alone for most of the day. But yeah, it's just nice to have someone around to look after you. If you need anything, they're there. If you need help with the toilet, help out of bed, help in bed, it's just nice to have someone that's willing to help and look after you, which isn't the easiest, because it would be nice to look after yourself, but just help is definitely needed. So anyway, I think I'm going to make another video about things to take to the hospital, like essentials to take to the hospital and things to have at the house to make life a little bit easier. So I'm going to talk about things that I had last time for my first surgery and things that I would have liked and that I will hopefully be able to have when I have my second surgery next year. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.